Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. We are jumping right into the middle of this battle. Blue-Red Delver versus Yorion and Taxes. Blue-Red Delver is considered by many to be the best deck in the format. It is the most played part because of that. And when that happens, decks have a clear target to aim at, and Yorion and Taxes has certainly evolved to be able to give Blue-Red Delver a run for its money, but even with that evolution, we see how quickly this has gone awry. A pair of Delvers flipping super early, and Luke's life total is just evaporating. Construct tokens just have nothing to say about Delvers flying overhead. Now we do have Shadow Spear now, so Urza's Saga generating some bodies. Shadow Spear will give +1/+1 trample and lifelink. So that could be something. These are 4/4 constructs. Go up to a 5/5. That is formidable. Down to 5. Does he have the burn? No, he's got a Murktide. Oh, and that is bigger than a 5/5. It's going to need to be removal right now or it is over. Towards the Plowshares, Solitude. Something to get this Murktide off the board. Even another artifact would be helpful, turning the construct into something that'll trade. Actually, no, at 5, it wouldn't. That's brutal. Even from there, swinging for 6 would put him up to 11, and then he'd actually die on the crackback. So another artifact wouldn't be enough on its own. That is a short, violent game right there. Delver of Secrets, just flipping all over Luke in the early stages, point where there's no end game. You're playing an 80 card pile in hopes that you can grind things out, get Yorion into your hand, and get that type of advantage that comes from essentially starting with an 8 card hand thanks to the companion. But that was not even close at any point to be able to take a turn off and pay 3 mana, add the air elemental to your hand. All right, Matt sees a Mother of Runes as the first play. Now, Mother of Runes kind of puts you in a Mother of Runes does kind of put you in a spot where you have to decide whether or not to use removal on it, even if it's your only removal. If you do not, that removal is probably not going to hit anything useful for the rest of the game. You're going to have to go upstairs with burn to the face. Chain Lightning takes out the mom. And now Spirit of the Labyrinth probably leaves Matt feeling like he made the correct choice. Spirit of the Labyrinth is a really significant problem for Delver, stopping both Brainstorm and to a degree Ponder, but actually he's firing off a Ponder anyways. Spirit of the Labyrinth is not going to allow the card draw. But he looked at the top 3. None of them were acceptable. He essentially just paid a blue mana and a card to shuffle his library. Is not where you want to be. But if those 3 weren't good enough, simply cannot afford to wait around. That's a tough one to decide on, I'm not going to lie. Going down a card doesn't feel great, but of course now resolving Brainstorm. Back where you want to be. Perhaps getting to the point where an expressive iteration recoups that card advantage. Baracus does feel like a little bit of a liability in this type of matchup, as it is a target for Wasteland, but honestly, Urza's Saga really does have the bigger bullseye on its back. There are some games where you can get completely wrecked by opposing Wastelands with Death and Taxes. Even though it's a mono white deck, it does play a whole bunch of non-basics. more often than not, your mana base is going to be strong enough. You really don't need that much, just a couple of planes to get through most of your spells. You do have a top end of your curve, but hopefully Aether Vial is going to be carrying the weight there. And just 3 damage from the construct. Pretty modest. Those constructs have that exponential damage growth. And they are all wiped out by a single meltdown. That card is super difficult to keep in stock. Anyone local that wants to trade those in, happy to buy any number of meltdowns. Carpet of Flowers, not quite as hard, but there's a bunch of Urza's Saga era cards that are just uncommon, that are legacy staples at this point. And Recruiter of the Guard, nice bounce back card here. Look to commit to the board and get the best possible tutor target. Oh, Force of Will actually hits the Recruiter. Now a Stoneforge Mystic sneaks in there, grabbing Kaldra. Kaldra costs 7 mana. There's already 5 on board. Even if this Lightning Bolt, and it does, Lightning Bolt takes out Stoneforge Mystic, we could get to the point where Kaldra comes down. Now, in previous iterations, Batterskull would have been the go-to in that situation, and that would absolutely be online. As it is, Luke has a few bad draws to go before that Kaldra comes online. Anything else off the top of his deck is likely to be much more welcome. It's going to be a threat or potentially an answer to Matt's non-existent threats right now. That is where things get tough. Delver has just a handful of threats. Delver of Secrets. Oh, floating mana from this Wasteland, and now jamming a Solitude. Full retail. It's got a body on it. And now Yorion flickering just for value, just putting 7 damage on the board. Probably the main selling point for Yorion and Taxes is getting to run that full playset of Solitudes. It can be tough to find space in the 60 card for this card. It is really powerful. You don't necessarily want it in multiples, but they're paying 5 mana for the 3/2 flash lifelink. The Swords to Plowshare stapled to it. Man, that is gruesome. Not even needing to get the value off of that Yorion trigger. Just playing the Sky Noodle for the extra. You know, I've been calling it an Air Elemental. I guess I need to figure out what I should call it instead, because it's even better than Air Elemental. Air Elementals 4/4. And of course the ETB is what it's all about there. But sometimes just having any threat at all when everything's been traded 1 for 1, your opponent has nothing left, you still have a legitimate clock. The reason for these 80 card piles. Going into game 3, Dragon Rage Channeler to lead out for Matt. Dragon Rage, the less aggressive creature than Delver. Delver can often flip and start pushing through 3 damage a turn on turn 2. Dragon Rage rarely going to do that. See Delver put into the graveyard thanks to Surveil trigger. Will not be long before Dragon Rage becomes a 3/3. Really the benefit in the early game is that additional card selection, filtering away the dead cards, and a pair of Aether Vials. Oh no. That is unfortunate. Aether Vial for Luke here, ticking up to 1 and 2. Wasteland's taken out Matt's Volcanic Island. The Wasteland of his own. Schadenport. It actually just tape. It does. It actually takes out the Wasteland, which is fired off at the Rishadenport, leaving Matt with literally no mana, and he can't swing in on this Thalia. This is absolutely gruesome. Thalia making all the non-creature spells cost 1 more. That's going to need 2 lands just to be able to cast a single cantrip for 1 mana. Thalia doubling the cost. Opposing Wasteland ready to stop Matt. Now we've got a Delver of Secrets joining in. Is able to grab the basic island. But Stoneforge Mystic. Wow. This is unraveling rapidly. Expect a Flicker Wisp off of this Recruiter of the Guard. Cauldra. Oh no, Skyclave. Interesting. Yeah, that's fine too. I guess I haven't actually played Death and Taxes very much since the printing of Skyclave Apparition or Cauldra Complete. Really has changed some lines that might have been default in the past. From here, you could Flicker Wisp your Recruiter of the Guard, get back another Flicker Wisp, and just generate massive card advantage. Instead, Luke just choosing to go for the throat here. Matt takes a look for Delver of Secrets, which gives him the bad news. There's nothing on top that's going to save him, as Yorion and Taxes really shows some power there in Game 3 with everything just coming together.